What would you do if you suddenly discovered that you were smarter than anyone you'd ever met? That the world, in fact, was watching you, waiting for you to prove that genius can come in any form, even from the most unexpected places? Alex Thomas wasn't just any 12-year-old. He wasn't a kid who sat at the back of the class, doodling or daydreaming about video games. He was the kid who solved the hardest math problems before the teacher even finished writing them on the board. He was the one who recited physics theories that left even the teachers in awe. But no one could have predicted how far Alex's brilliance would take him or how it would change everything. Born in a small town in Wyoming, Alex's life was anything but ordinary. Raised by a single mother who worked 2 jobs just to make ends meet, Alex had always been different. While other kids were out playing soccer or trading Pokemon cards, Alex was holed up in his room, devouring books on quantum mechanics and artificial intelligence. His mother, Maria, noticed his extraordinary intellect early on, but always assumed he was just a kid with a lot of potential, not something that could shake the very foundation of the world around him. His peers, however, weren't so understanding. They called him the alien, or worse, the freak, because no one his age should have been able to comprehend complex theories like he did. Alex had always been quiet, the oddball in a world that didn't seem to understand him. His intelligence was both a gift and a curse. But Alex didn't mind. He didn't care for popularity or fitting in. What drove him was the thrill of solving the world's biggest mysteries, figuring out how things worked on a fundamental level. And yet, even with all his brilliance, Alex knew something was missing. He craved recognition, a validation that his intellect meant something, that his mind could take him places others couldn't even imagine. It wasn't until the day his life would change forever that Alex realized just how much he would have to sacrifice for that recognition. It started innocently enough, a high school-level math test that Alex's teacher, Mrs. Simmons, had decided to give to the class for fun. It was meant to be a challenge, something to get the students thinking. A let's see who can really think outside the box sort of test. But when Alex completed the test in under 10 minutes, not only getting every single answer correct, but also providing advanced methods of solving the problems, the world started paying attention. It wasn't long before Alex's achievement spread beyond the school walls. News outlets picked up the story, calling Alex the next Einstein. His classmates, who had once snickered behind his back, now wanted to be his friend. Everyone wanted to be associated with the genius who could solve equations that were designed for university students, not middle schoolers. But with the praise came the pressure. The phone calls and emails from prestigious universities, science foundations, and even tech moguls like Elon Musk started flooding in. Everyone wanted to meet Alex. Everyone wanted to see if he was the real deal. They wanted him to prove that this wasn't just some fluke, that Alex Thomas wasn't just a boy who could memorize formulas but a true prodigy whose mind could break barriers. And then, one morning, while Alex was sitting at the kitchen table, eating his usual bowl of cereal, his mother handed him an envelope. The handwriting on the front was familiar, but the address didn't belong to anyone they knew. It was from none other than Elon Musk. Inside was a letter, and it was unlike anything Alex had ever read before. Dear Alex, I've heard about your remarkable achievements and your exceptional intellect. I'd like to extend an invitation for you to come to California and meet with me. There's something I'd like to challenge you with. I'm not offering you fame, wealth, or recognition. I'm offering you something far more valuable, a chance to prove to the world and yourself just how far your mind can take you. Looking forward to hearing from you. Best, Elon Musk. Alex's heart raced. The letter was real, no mistake about it. The man who had built Tesla, SpaceX, and revolutionized the tech world wanted to meet him. He wasn't just some kid from Wyoming anymore. He was about to be thrust into the spotlight of one of the most brilliant minds alive today. What should I do? Alex asked himself. This could change everything. The weight of the decision was heavy, and as he looked up at his mother, he saw the mix of pride and concern in her eyes. If you were in Alex's shoes, what would you do? Would you embrace the challenge or shy away from it? Let us know in the comments. As the story unfolds, the invitation looms over Alex like a ticking clock, and he must decide whether he's ready to face the challenge that could either make or break his future. But one thing is certain, life as he knew it was about to change forever. Would you take the chance to meet one of the greatest minds of our time, knowing it could forever alter your life? Alex had a decision to make, one that would define not only his future but also his identity. Alex sat on the edge of his bed, holding Elon Musk's letter in trembling hands. His room, filled with books stacked high on physics, engineering, and philosophy, felt oddly small and suffocating. This space, his sanctuary, was now the very place where he felt the crushing weight of uncertainty. Maria, his mother, peeked into the room. She had given Alex the space he needed to process the letter, but the silence worried her. "You've worked so hard, Alex," she said softly, sitting beside him. "You deserve this, but it's your choice. You don't have to prove anything to anyone." Her words were warm, but Alex knew she couldn't fully understand. It wasn't about proving something to others. It was about proving it to himself. Deep down, Alex feared failure. What if he wasn't as smart as everyone thought? What if this meeting with Musk ended in embarrassment? He turned to his mother. "Do you think I can do it?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Maria placed her hands on his shoulders. "I think you can do anything you set your mind to. But you don't have to be perfect, Alex. You just have to be yourself." Her words gave him a small flicker of hope. By the next day, Alex was still hesitant. He carried the letter with him everywhere, even tucking it into his math textbook during school. His classmates, having learned about the invitation through a local news story, were buzzing with excitement. "Are you really going to meet Elon Musk?" a boy asked, wide-eyed. "Do you think he'll offer you a job at Tesla?" chimed in another. Their voices blurred together, a cacophony of pressure that Alex couldn't escape. The more people talked, the more real it became. This wasn't just a fun story to them. It was a spectacle. To Alex, it was terrifying. At lunch, he sat alone, pushing food around his tray. His best friend, Tyler, finally slid into the seat across from him. "Dude, what's going on?" "You've been weird all day," Tyler said, leaning in. Alex hesitated, then pulled out the letter. Tyler's jaw dropped as he read it. "Alex, this is insane. It's Elon Musk. You have to go," Tyler exclaimed, practically bouncing in his seat. "What if I screw it up? What if I'm just average?" Alex muttered, staring at the table. Tyler shook his head. "You're not average. You've never been average. And even if you mess up, who cares? It's Elon Musk, man. Just the fact that he wants to meet you means something." For the first time that day, Alex felt a tiny spark of excitement. That evening, Alex sat at the dining table with his mom, the letter in front of them. Maria had managed to put together a simple dinner despite working a double shift, but neither of them touched their food. "Okay," Alex finally said, breaking the silence. "I'll do it. I'll meet him." Maria smiled, though her eyes betrayed a mix of pride and worry. "Then we'll figure it out together." The next step was reaching out to Musk's team. Alex sent an email to the contact provided in the letter, keeping it short and to the point. "Dear Mr. Musk, thank you for your invitation. I would be honored to meet with you. Please let me know the details of the next steps. Sincerely, Alex Thomas." Hitting send felt like jumping off a cliff without knowing what was at the bottom. 2 days later, Alex received a response. It was from one of Musk's assistants, detailing the travel arrangements. A car would pick Alex and his mother up from their home and take them to a private jet that would fly them to California. The email concluded with the phrase, "Mr. Musk is looking forward to the meeting. He has something special planned." What do you think he means by special? Alex asked his mom as he read the email aloud. Maria smiled. Knowing Elon Musk? It could be anything. If you were Alex, would you take the leap of faith and meet Elon Musk? Or would the fear of failure hold you back? Let us know your thoughts. As Alex prepared for the trip, his mind buzzed with questions. What was Musk planning? Would he live up to the hype? And most importantly, was Alex ready for what lay ahead? Little did he know, this was only the beginning of a journey that would test him in ways he couldn't imagine. What would it feel like to step into a world completely different from your own? As the car pulled up in front of Alex's modest house, he realized he was about to find out. The morning of the trip was a whirlwind of emotions. Alex had barely slept the night before, replaying every possible scenario in his mind. Would Musk see him as just another bright kid? Or would he recognize something truly special? Maria double-checked their bags for the third time. Though the packing list was simple, just a change of clothes, a notebook, and Alex's favorite pen. She wanted him to feel prepared, even if neither of them really knew what to expect. When the sleek black car arrived, Alex's heart skipped a beat. The driver, a sharply dressed man with an earpiece, stepped out and introduced himself. "Good morning, Alex. My name is James. I'll be your chauffeur for today." As they drove through the familiar streets of their small town, Alex stared out the window, wondering if he'd ever see it the same way again. The car pulled onto the tarmac of a private airstrip where a gleaming white jet awaited them. Alex's eyes widened as he took in the scene. The jet looked like something out of a science fiction movie, with sleek, aerodynamic lines and Tesla's signature logo emblazoned on the side. "Is this really happening?" Alex muttered under his breath. Maria squeezed his hand. "It is, sweetheart, and you're ready for it." As they boarded the plane, Alex was greeted by a friendly flight attendant who offered him a drink. He declined, his hands too shaky to hold a glass. Instead, he sank into the plush leather seat, trying to absorb the sheer luxury surrounding him. "First time on a private jet?" the flight attendant asked with a warm smile. Alex nodded. "First time on any plane." Maria chuckled. "You're starting at the top, Alex." The engines roared to life, and soon they were airborne. Alex stared out the window, mesmerized by the view of the clouds below. For the first time in days, he felt a small sense of calm. When they landed in California, another car was waiting to take them to Musk's headquarters. The sprawling campus looked more like a futuristic city than an office complex, with solar panels glinting in the sun and electric cars zipping between buildings. James escorted them inside, where they were greeted by one of Musk's assistants, a sharp-eyed woman named Clara. "Welcome, Alex," Clara said, extending a hand. "Mr. Musk is eager to meet you. But before that, we'd like to give you a quick tour of the facility." Alex's curiosity outweighed his nerves as they were guided through the campus. Clara explained the groundbreaking work being done in AI, renewable energy, and space exploration. Alex couldn't help but ask questions, his mind racing with possibilities. Finally, they reached a sleek conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the campus. Clara opened the door, and there he was, Elon Musk, casually dressed in a black t-shirt and jeans, typing on a laptop. He looked up as they entered, a smile spreading across his face. "Alex Thomas," he said, standing to shake Alex's hand. "It's a pleasure to meet you." Alex swallowed hard, his palms sweaty. "It's an honor, Mr. Musk." "Call me Elon," Musk said, his tone friendly but direct. He turned to Maria and nodded. "Thank you for coming, Mrs. Thomas. You've raised quite an extraordinary young man." Maria beamed with pride, though Alex felt like shrinking under the weight of the compliment. They sat down, and Musk wasted no time getting to the point. "Alex, I've read about your achievements. Your IQ is impressive, but numbers only tell part of the story. What I want to know is, how do you think?" Alex blinked, caught off guard. "How do I think?" "Yes," Musk said, leaning forward. "What drives you? What problems keep you awake at night? And most importantly, how do you approach solving them?" Alex hesitated, then began to speak. He talked about his fascination with physics, his dream of building something that could truly change the world, and his belief that knowledge should serve humanity. Musk listened intently, occasionally nodding or asking a sharp, specific question. When Alex finished, Musk leaned back in his chair. "Interesting. Very interesting. I think you're ready for the next step?" Before Alex could ask what he meant, Musk stood and motioned for him to follow. "Come with me," he said, a mischievous glint in his eye. "There's something I want to show you." As Alex followed Musk down a long, dimly lit corridor, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change forever. What do you think Elon Musk is about to reveal to Alex? Share your guesses below. What if your dreams depended on one moment, one test, and you had no idea what it would be? Alex's palms grew clammy as he followed Elon Musk down the corridor, the silence amplifying his every step. Musk led Alex and Maria into an unmarked door that opened to reveal a state-of-the-art laboratory. The space buzzed with the sound of whirring machines and robotic arms moving with uncanny precision. Massive screens displayed complex equations, blueprints, and live feeds of various experiments. Alex's jaw dropped. This was a playground of innovation, a space where ideas weren't just imagined but made real. "Welcome to my testing lab," Musk said with a casual wave of his hand. "This is where I push people and machines to their limits." Maria looked uneasy, her protective instincts kicking in. "What kind of test are we talking about?" Musk turned to her, his expression calm but serious. "Nothing dangerous, I assure you. But it will challenge Alex in ways he's never been challenged before." He turned to Alex, his piercing gaze locking onto the boys. "The question is, are you ready?" Alex nodded, though his voice betrayed him. "I think so." "Good," Musk said, clapping his hands. "Let's begin." A team of technicians entered the room, quickly setting up a workstation in front of Alex. On the table lay a sleek tablet, a notebook, and a strange device resembling a Rubik's Cube but with glowing edges. "This," Musk said, picking up the cube, "is the Neural Challenge. It's designed to test not just intelligence but creativity, adaptability, and decision-making under pressure." He handed the cube to Alex. "Your task is to solve it, but there's a catch. It's not a puzzle you can brute force. You'll need to think several steps ahead, anticipate outcomes, and use logic in ways that mimic how AI systems learn." Alex studied the cube, the glowing edges shifting colors as he turned it in his hands. "What happens if I can't solve it?" Musk smiled. "Failure isn't the end, Alex. It's just another step toward understanding. But I have a feeling you'll surprise us all." As Alex sat down, Musk activated a timer on one of the screens. "You have 30 minutes. Begin." The room fell silent except for the faint hum of the machines. Alex took a deep breath, his mind racing as he tried to decipher the cube's mechanics. Each twist seemed to activate a new pattern of lights, and the complexity increased with every move. Maria watched anxiously from the sidelines, her hands clenched tightly. Musk leaned against a console, his arms crossed as he observed Alex's every move. "Notice his focus," he murmured to one of the technicians. "He's not just reacting, he's strategizing." At the 15-minute mark, Alex hit his first major roadblock. No matter how he twisted the cube, it seemed to revert to an unsolvable state. Frustration bubbled up, but he forced himself to stay calm. He closed his eyes, visualizing the patterns he had seen so far. Slowly, a realization dawned on him. The cube wasn't just a physical puzzle. It required him to think in multiple dimensions, almost like a game of chess. "Come on, Alex," he whispered to himself. "You can do this." With 5 minutes left on the clock, Alex made a bold move. He twisted the cube in a sequence that seemed counterintuitive, trusting his instincts over logic. The cube lit up in a dazzling display of colors, and the timer stopped at exactly 29:52. Musk stepped forward, clapping his hands. "Impressive. Most people freeze under pressure, but you found a way to adapt. That's a rare quality." Alex stared at the now-solved cube, disbelief and pride washing over him. Maria rushed to his side, pulling him into a tight hug. "I knew you could do it." Musk took the cube from Alex, his expression thoughtful. "This was just the first step. The real test begins now." Alex frowned. "What do you mean?" Musk gestured to one of the massive screens, which now displayed a simulation of a sprawling, futuristic city. "I want you to design something for me, Alex. Something that could solve one of humanity's greatest challenges. The clock starts tomorrow." As Alex stared at the screen, overwhelmed yet exhilarated, he couldn't help but wonder, was he truly ready for what lay ahead? What kind of challenge do you think Musk will set for Alex next? Share your ideas in the comments. What if the fate of the future rested in the hands of a child? Musk's challenge to Alex wasn't just about intelligence. It was about reimagining humanity's greatest limitations. The screen in front of Alex zoomed into the futuristic city. Skyscrapers with solar panels glistened in the simulated sunlight. Autonomous vehicles zipped through air lanes, and lush green parks sprawled across rooftops. "Imagine this city," Musk said, stepping forward. "Self-sufficient, sustainable, and capable of supporting humanity even in the harshest environments, whether on Earth or Mars." Alex's brow furrowed. "What does this have to do with me?" Musk turned to him, his expression sharp. You're going to create a key component for this city, something revolutionary, something that could change the way we live forever. Alex's eyes widened. You mean, like invent something? Precisely, Musk replied. This isn't about solving puzzles anymore. This is about vision, creativity, and execution. Musk gestured to the screen, which now displayed a list of challenges. 1. Energy storage for long-term sustainability. 2. Water purification for survival in arid conditions. 3. Transportation systems that defy current limits. 4. Food production without traditional agriculture. You'll choose one of these, Musk said, and you'll have 48 hours to design a prototype concept. Use the lab, use the tools, use your mind. And remember, this is your chance to make a real difference. Maria stepped forward, her voice firm. Elon, he's just a kid. Don't you think this is too much? Musk glanced at her. Maria, do you know why I invited Alex here? She hesitated, unsure of his intent. I've met brilliant adults, Musk continued, but brilliance alone doesn't innovate. It takes unbridled curiosity and courage, qualities often dulled by age. Alex has both. Alex stared at the list on the screen. Each challenge felt monumental, the kind of thing entire teams of scientists would spend decades trying to solve. I don't even know where to start, he admitted, his voice small. Maria knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. You don't have to figure it all out at once, Alex. Just take it one step at a time. Her words steadied him. Alex took a deep breath and pointed to the screen. Energy storage. I'll work on that. Musk nodded approvingly. Excellent choice. A breakthrough in energy storage could revolutionize everything, from electric vehicles to off-world colonies. Technicians swarmed into action, preparing workstations, bringing in materials, and booting up simulation software. One of them handed Alex a tablet preloaded with data on current energy storage technologies, lithium-ion batteries, solid-state designs, and experimental concepts like graphene supercapacitors. Alex dived in, his mind spinning with possibilities. He quickly realized that most existing technologies had limitations, limited capacity, slow charging times, or environmental concerns. I need to think differently, he muttered. Maria watched Alex wrestle with the problem, her heart aching for him. She knew he carried the weight of his own expectations, not just Musk's. Alex, she said softly, remember what you told me about Einstein? How he believed in looking at problems from new perspectives. Maybe that's what you need to do. Alex's eyes lit up. You're right. Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. Hours passed as Alex sketched designs, ran simulations, and tested concepts. Finally, an idea began to take shape, a hybrid energy system combining the rapid charge and discharge capabilities of supercapacitors with the high storage capacity of advanced batteries. The key was a unique layering technique that allowed the two systems to work seamlessly together. Alex called it dynamic dual storage, DDS. It's like having the best of both worlds, he explained excitedly to Maria. The supercapacitors handle quick bursts of energy, and the batteries store it for the long term. When the 48 hours were up, Alex stood before Musk and a panel of engineers. His prototype was still in its conceptual stage, but the simulations he ran showed promise. He explained the principles behind DDS, using diagrams and animations to illustrate how it could outperform existing systems. Musk listened intently, occasionally nodding or jotting down notes. When Alex finished, the room was silent. Finally, Musk spoke. Alex, this is impressive. Your design addresses problems that have stumped researchers for years. But the question is, can it be built? Alex hesitated. I think it can, but I'd need more time and resources to prove it. Musk leaned forward, a glint of excitement in his eyes. Then let's make it happen. The room erupted into action as Musk gave the order to move Alex's concept into the next phase. But as Alex watched the flurry of activity, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something much bigger. What do you think Alex's design could mean for the future? Could it really change the world? Share your thoughts below. As the design of Alex's dynamic dual storage, DDS, concept moved to the next stage, the stakes skyrocketed. For Alex, This wasn't just about proving himself to Musk. It was about proving himself to himself. But with the whole world watching, could a 12-year-old genius handle the pressure? The lab had been transformed into a hive of activity. Engineers worked tirelessly to fabricate components, running tests on materials that could bring Alex's vision to life. Screens displayed live data from simulations, and robotic arms assembled prototypes. Alex, however, stood off to the side, feeling an overwhelming sense of inadequacy. He watched as experts twice his age debated design intricacies, rattling off terminology he barely understood. "I'm just a kid," he whispered to himself. Maria noticed his hesitation and pulled him aside. "Alex, remember, this is your idea. They're here to support you, not take over. You belong here just as much as they do." Her words calmed him. Taking a deep breath, Alex stepped forward and approached one of the lead engineers. "What if we reinforce the capacitor layers with graphene?" he suggested. The engineer raised an eyebrow, then smiled. "That might actually work. Let's run a simulation." Meanwhile, Musk held a press conference to unveil Alex's involvement in the project. "Elon, are you saying a 12-year-old is designing revolutionary technology for Tesla?" a journalist asked skeptically. Musk smirked. "I'm saying that genius doesn't care about age. What Alex has proposed could change the way we think about energy storage forever." The announcement went viral. Social media buzzed with hashtags like #AlexTheProdigy and #NextEinstein, and news outlets dissected every detail of Alex's background. At first, Alex was flattered by the attention, but as he scrolled through comments, he found plenty of skeptics. "This is just a PR stunt by Musk. No way a kid could come up with something like this. They're setting him up to fail." The doubt stung. Alex turned off his phone, his stomach churning with anxiety. 2 days later, disaster struck. The first physical prototype of the DDS system failed spectacularly during a stress test. Sparks flew, and a small fire broke out in the lab. "It's unstable," one of the engineers reported. "The capacitor layers are overheating." Alex felt his heart drop. He had been so confident in his design, but seeing it fail so dramatically crushed him. Musk entered the lab, his expression unreadable. "What happened?" One of the engineers explained the issue, but Musk's attention shifted to Alex. "What do you think went wrong?" Alex hesitated, tears welling up in his eyes. Maybe I'm just not cut out for this." Musk crouched down to meet Alex's gaze. "Let me tell you something, Alex. Every breakthrough I've ever made started with failure. Failure isn't the end. It's a step forward. The question is, are you going to let it stop you?" That night, Alex couldn't sleep. He sat in his room, surrounded by sketches and notes. Maria knocked softly before entering. "You okay?" she asked. Alex shook his head. "What if they're right? What if I'm just a kid playing pretend?" Maria sat beside him. "Do you know what I see when I look at you? I see someone who's already accomplished more than most people ever will. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, Alex. Just focus on what you love, solving problems." Her words reignited a spark in him. The next morning, Alex returned to the lab with a renewed determination. He reviewed the data from the failed test, poring over every detail. "I think I see the problem," he announced to the team. "The graphene layers are too thin to handle the stress. We need to reinforce them with a cooling system." One of the engineers raised a skeptical eyebrow. "That's easier said than done, kid." "Then let's find a way to make it work," Alex replied firmly. The room fell silent before Musk broke into a grin. "That's the spirit." As Alex and the team worked tirelessly to implement the new cooling system, a package arrived at the lab. It was from an anonymous sender, marked urgent. Alex opened it to find a cryptic note. "Beware of those who fear change. Your work has made you enemies." He looked up at Maria and Musk, his hands trembling. Who would want to stop him? Do you think Alex will overcome the challenges ahead? Who could be behind the mysterious warning? Share your theories below. The cryptic note weighed heavily on Alex's mind. Who would want to stop a 12-year-old trying to make a difference? And more importantly, why? The package containing the note sat ominously on the lab table as Alex, Maria, and Musk huddled around it. "What do you mean, enemies?" Alex asked, his voice shaky. Musk studied the note, his expression dark. When you're working on something revolutionary, there will always be people who feel threatened. Competitors, skeptics, even those afraid of change. Maria glanced at Alex. Do you think this is serious? Musk sighed. Serious enough to stay cautious. I'll have security look into it. Though Musk's calm demeanor was meant to reassure Alex, it had the opposite effect. For the first time, Alex felt the gravity of the world he had stepped into. Later that evening, as Alex walked back to his temporary housing near the lab, he felt a strange unease. The streets were quiet, too quiet. Suddenly, he heard hurried footsteps behind him. Alex quickened his pace, his heart pounding. "Hey, kid!" a gruff voice called out. Alex turned to see a man in a dark hoodie, his face partially obscured. "I know what you're working on," the man said, stepping closer. "And I'm telling you now, drop it. Some things are better left alone." Alex froze, fear gripping him. Who are you?" The man didn't answer. Instead, he slipped a small card into Alex's hand before disappearing into the shadows. Alex's hands trembled as he read the card. "A word to the wise. Stay out of the game before you lose." Back at the lab, Alex recounted the incident to Maria and Musk. "This is getting out of hand," Maria said, her protective instincts kicking in. "We need to report this to the authorities." Musk nodded. "Agreed. I'll have my security team investigate." Alex, however, felt a mix of fear and defiance. Why would someone go this far to stop me? It's not like I'm building a weapon or something dangerous. Musk placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. Sometimes, the mere idea of change is dangerous enough. But if you let fear dictate your actions, they've already won. Alex clenched his fists. "I won't let them scare me." Despite the ominous warnings, Alex threw himself back into work. The team was now focused on integrating his cooling system design into the prototype. Maria stayed close, offering encouragement whenever Alex seemed overwhelmed. She also made sure he wasn't left alone, doubling as his unofficial bodyguard. "You're not just a genius," Maria told him one night as they worked late in the lab. "You're brave. Don't let anyone take that away from you." Her words bolstered his confidence. During another round of testing, the new prototype showed promise, but still fell short of expectations. The cooling system worked, but energy efficiency dropped significantly. "It's like playing whack-a-mole," one engineer muttered. "Fix one problem, another one pops up." Alex frowned, studying the data. What if we adjusted the capacitor layers to optimize the heat dissipation? It might balance efficiency and cooling. The engineers exchanged glances, impressed by Alex's quick thinking. "That might actually work," one of them admitted. The lab buzzed with renewed energy as they implemented Alex's idea. As the team celebrated small victories, an unsettling discovery was made. One of the engineers noticed that some files related to the DDS project had been accessed remotely. "Someone's trying to steal the designs," the engineer reported. Musk's expression hardened. "Track the IP. Find out who's behind this." The room grew tense as everyone realized the stakes were higher than they'd imagined. As the security team traced the breach, Alex's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. "You're in over your head, kid. Walk away while you still can." Alex stared at the screen. His fear now mingled with determination. Whoever was behind this wouldn't stop him. He would prove them wrong. Who do you think is behind the threats? Will Alex's determination be enough to overcome the mounting obstacles? Share your thoughts below. The unknown text message had left Alex on edge, but the next morning brought an even greater shock. Someone on the inside might be working against them. Musk's security team traced the suspicious activity to a remote server, but the trail went cold. At the same time, inconsistencies in the lab's access logs pointed to someone on the team. "This isn't just an external threat," Musk announced during an emergency meeting with the team. "Someone here has been feeding information to an outside party." The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Maria crossed her arms, scanning the room. Who would risk sabotaging something with this much potential? Alex glanced around nervously, his trust in the team starting to crumble. The once collaborative atmosphere in the lab turned tense. People whispered in corners, and every glance seemed loaded with suspicion. Alex felt the weight of their stares. Some team members viewed him as an outsider and questioned why Musk had entrusted so much to a 12-year-old. "He's just a kid," one engineer muttered to another, loud enough for Alex to hear. "What if he's the weak link?" Maria overheard and jumped to Alex's defense. "Weak link? He's been carrying this project. Maybe you should focus on your work instead of pointing fingers." But the seed of doubt had already been planted, and Alex could feel it spreading. Unable to ignore the nagging sense of betrayal, Alex decided to investigate on his own. Late at night, he slipped back into the lab and began sifting through the access logs. He cross-referenced times and locations, his mind racing as he pieced together the puzzle. Then, he noticed something peculiar. One of the engineers, Peter, had been accessing files at odd hours, often from areas of the building unrelated to the project. Why would he need these files after hours? Alex muttered to himself. The next morning, Alex couldn't keep quiet. He approached Maria and Musk, sharing what he discovered. Musk nodded thoughtfully. "Good work, Alex. But we need proof before we act." Later that day, Musk called a team meeting. He casually brought up the issue of unauthorized access and announced new security measures. Peter's reaction was subtle but noticeable. His jaw tightened, and he avoided eye contact. Maria leaned over to Alex and whispered, "I think you're onto something." Musk and Alex devised a plan to catch the mole. They planted fake data about a supposed breakthrough in the DDS system and monitored access closely. "If someone leaks this, we'll know," Musk said. Sure enough, by midnight, the bait had been taken. The fake data was accessed from Peter's account and uploaded to an external server. The next morning, security confronted Peter, who initially denied everything. But when presented with the evidence, his facade crumbled. "Fine," Peter spat. "Yes, I leaked it. But do you really think this project will change the world? You're wasting your time." Peter's betrayal hit Alex harder than he expected. This was someone he had admired, someone he thought shared the same vision. "How could you do this?" Alex asked, his voice trembling with anger. Peter shrugged. "The real world isn't about dreams, kid. It's about survival. And some of us can't afford to wait for promises that may never come." Peter was escorted out of the lab, and Musk reassured the team that security measures had been tightened. But Alex couldn't shake the feeling of unease. If Peter had been willing to betray them, who else might be lurking in the shadows? With Peter gone, the team rallied behind Alex, determined to make up for lost time. Maria worked tirelessly alongside Alex, offering both guidance and emotional support. "We're still here," she reminded him, "and we're not giving up." Their determination paid off. The next round of tests showed significant improvements in the DDS system's efficiency, inching them closer to a breakthrough. Just as the team celebrated their progress, an alert popped up on Musk's tablet. Another breach attempt, this time, from an unknown source outside the lab. Musk's expression darkened. "This isn't over. What do you think is motivating these outside attacks? Can Alex and the team stay one step ahead of their enemies? Share your theories in the comments below." The breach wasn't random. Musk's instincts were sharp as ever, and the team's enemies were growing bolder. But who were they, and what were they after? The breach attempt wasn't just sophisticated. It was personal. Whoever was behind it had bypassed layers of encryption that only a few people in the world would know how to crack. Alex reviewed the logs alongside Musk. "This isn't some amateur hacker," Alex said, his voice tight with concern. "They knew exactly where to look." Musk nodded grimly. "This is no longer just about a technological breakthrough. Someone sees this as a threat to their control, someone powerful." Alex and Maria worked together to trace the origin of the attack. Using a combination of Alex's coding genius and Maria's connections, they narrowed it down to a private server owned by an unknown entity. "It's like chasing a ghost," Maria said, her brow furrowed. "Whoever they are, they've covered their tracks well." But Alex refused to give up. He pulled an all-nighter, poring over every clue until finally he found a pattern. A recurring IP address linked to a conglomerate that operated in the shadows of the tech world. Maria's research revealed the name behind the conglomerate, Archon Dynamics, a secretive organization known for acquiring groundbreaking technologies, often by force. "They don't just buy tech," Maria explained. "They bury it, keep it out of reach. It's their way of maintaining power. Alex clenched his fists. So, they're not just trying to steal the DDS system. They want to kill it. Musk's expression hardened. Then they've underestimated us. Determined to protect their work, Musk instructed the team to implement new security protocols. This included moving critical files offline and assigning round-the-clock surveillance to the lab. Alex, Musk said, placing a hand on the boy's shoulder, your mind is our greatest asset, but it's also a target. Be careful. The weight of Musk's words settled on Alex, but it only fueled his determination. As the team braced for another attack, they received an encrypted message from an anonymous source. I have information on Archon Dynamics, the message read. Meet me if you want to save your project. Maria and Musk were skeptical, but Alex saw an opportunity. What if this person really can help us? He argued. After some debate, Musk agreed. They arranged to meet the contact in a public place, with Musk's security team on high alert. The contact turned out to be a former Archon insider named Evelyn. She was wary but determined to expose the organization. They'll stop at nothing to destroy you, Evelyn warned. Archon sees the DDS system as a threat to their monopoly on advanced AI. Alex leaned forward. Why are you helping us? Evelyn hesitated, then said, because I believe in what you're doing, and because I know what it's like to be silenced. She handed them a flash drive. This has everything you need to protect yourselves and to fight back. Back at the lab, the team decrypted Evelyn's files. They revealed Archon's extensive surveillance network and detailed plans to sabotage Musk's operation. This isn't just about stopping us, Maria said. They're planning to discredit you, Elon. If this gets out, it could ruin everything you've built. Musk remained calm under pressure. Then we'll outsmart them. Alex, how fast can you modify the DDS system to counter their AI? Alex's eyes lit up. Give me 48 hours. The team worked tirelessly, but the atmosphere in the lab was tense. Evelyn's warning weighed heavily on everyone, and the fear of another attack loomed. As Alex coded, he thought about everything at stake. Not just the project, but the lives it could save. We can't let them win, he muttered under his breath. Maria handed him a cup of coffee. You're not alone in this, Alex. We've got your back. Just as Alex completed the DDS system's new defenses, the lab's power flickered, and an emergency alert blared. They're here, Musk said, his voice steady but intense. Everyone, hold your positions. What do you think Archon Dynamics' next move will be? Will Alex's new defenses be enough to stop them? Share your predictions below. The room plunged into chaos as alarms blared and the lights flickered. The enemy wasn't waiting in the shadows anymore. They were coming in full force. The lab's emergency system kicked in, locking down every door and window. Alex's heart raced as the computer monitors lit up with warning messages. Unauthorized access detected. Network under attack. Maria quickly assessed the situation. They're going for the central server. If they access it, they'll erase everything. Musk remained calm. We need to hold them off. Alex, how strong are the new defenses? Alex swallowed hard. They'll buy us time, but not much. Alex dove into the coding interface, activating the updated DDS defenses. On screen, lines of code collided in a digital battle between Archon's attack AI and Alex's new security protocols. It's like a game of chess, Alex muttered, his fingers flying over the keyboard. But they're not playing fair. Maria stood by his side, relaying updates. They're targeting the quantum drive. If they fry it, we lose everything. Musk issued orders to the rest of the team. Isolate the drive. Maria, initiate physical backups. We can't afford to lose this data. As the team scrambled, Alex spotted a weakness in Archon's code. They've overextended, he said, his voice rising with excitement. If I can exploit this vulnerability, I might be able to trace their location. Do it, Musk said without hesitation. Alex launched a counterhack, threading through the labyrinth of encrypted data. The room held its breath as he worked. After what felt like an eternity, Alex's screen flashed, source traced. Location, Archon Dynamics HQ. Before the team could celebrate, the lab's cameras revealed a chilling sight. A group of masked intruders had breached the perimeter and were moving through the corridors. They're not just attacking us online, Maria said, her voice tight. They're here. Musk turned to his security detail. Engage them, but don't let them near the main lab. The guards moved out, but Alex felt the weight of the moment. They're coming for me, aren't they? Musk knelt beside him, meeting his gaze. They're coming for what you've built, but we won't let them win. With the intruders closing in, Alex proposed a risky idea. What if we use the DDS system itself to counter them? It's designed to anticipate threats, it could outsmart their AI, and even predict their physical moves. Maria hesitated. The system isn't finished. If it fails, they'll get everything. Musk made the call. Do it. We didn't come this far to play it safe. Alex activated the DDS prototype, feeding it real-time data from the security cameras and the breach network. The system began analyzing patterns, predicting the intruders' movements with uncanny precision. Guide the guards, Alex instructed. The DDS says they'll try to flank from the east corridor. The team relayed the information, and the guards intercepted the intruders just in time. It's working, Maria said, her voice filled with awe. Alex, you've done it. As the battle raged, Alex received an unexpected message on his personal terminal. Hello, genius. Let's see if you can outsmart me. It was Archon's lead hacker, a mysterious figure known only as Cypher. Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. They're taunting me, he said. It's a challenge. Musk's eyes narrowed. Then show them what you're made of. Alex engaged in a digital duel with Cypher, each trying to outmaneuver the other in real time. Code flashed across the screen like lightning, each move more complex than the last. You're good, Cypher typed, but not good enough. Alex gritted his teeth. Watch me. He launched a final, daring countermeasure, using the DDS system to predict Cypher's next move. The screen went dark for a moment, then displayed a single word, connection terminated. Alex had one. The intruders retreated, their mission thwarted. The lab was safe, for now. Musk placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. You've proven something tonight, not just to them, but to yourself. Alex looked up, his face a mix of exhaustion and pride. We're not just building a system, we're building a future. Just as the team began to regroup, Evelyn burst into the room, her face pale. You've stopped them for now, she said, but Archon's not done. They're planning something bigger, and it's already in motion. What do you think Archon's next move will be? How can Alex and the team prepare for an even greater threat? Share your thoughts below. Evelyn's words hung heavy in the air, their implications chilling. Archon's planning something bigger, and it's already in motion. The room erupted with questions, but Musk raised his hand, silencing everyone. Evelyn, what do you know? And how do you know it? Evelyn hesitated, her eyes darting to Alex. There's something I've been keeping from you, something I didn't know how to explain until now. Maria frowned. You'd better start explaining. We don't have time for half-truths. Evelyn took a deep breath. I used to work for Archon. The room fell silent. Alex's heart sank. You worked for them? And you never told us? I didn't know they'd go this far, Evelyn said quickly. I left when I realized what they were planning, but I've been watching them ever since. They're not just after the DDS system. They want control of every major innovation Musk Industries has created: autonomous systems, quantum computing, space exploration. They're trying to dominate the future. Evelyn pulled out a small device and placed it on the table. A holographic projection appeared, showing schematics, documents, and timelines. This is their plan, she explained. They call it Operation Dominus. It's a coordinated attack on Musk Industries, targeting everything from our satellites to our labs. Tonight's breach was just the beginning. Musk studied the projection, his expression grim. If they succeed, they won't just cripple us. They'll set humanity back decades. Alex pointed to one of the schematics. What's that? Evelyn hesitated. It's a virus, a self-learning AI designed to infiltrate and take over autonomous systems. They've already tested it on smaller networks. It's devastating. Maria crossed her arms. How long do we have before they deploy it? Evelyn shook her head. Not long. Maybe days. Maybe hours. Alex's mind raced. If they're targeting all of Musk Industries, then the DDS system isn't just a target, it's our best weapon. We can use it to predict their moves and counter them. Musk nodded. Agreed. But we need to accelerate its development. Alex, are you ready for that? Alex hesitated. The DDS system was powerful, but it was also unstable. If something went wrong, it could backfire spectacularly. I'll do it, he said finally, but I'll need everyone's help. The team sprang into action, dividing tasks to strengthen the lab's defenses and refine the DDS system. Maria worked on upgrading the physical security measures, while Evelyn provided insider knowledge about Archon's tactics. Musk coordinated with his global network, mobilizing resources to protect other Musk Industries facilities. Alex dove back into the code, pushing himself to the limit. He couldn't afford to make mistakes, not when so much was at stake. Late that night, Alex took a break and stepped outside for air. The stars above seemed impossibly distant, a reminder of the future he was fighting for. Evelyn found him there, her expression filled with regret. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner," she said. Alex shrugged. "I get it. Everyone has secrets. But now's not the time for regrets. We have a chance to stop them, and we need you." Evelyn smiled faintly. "You've grown a lot, Alex. When I first met you, I wasn't sure if you were ready for this. But now, I think you might be the only one who can do it." Back in the lab, Maria burst into the room with news. "We've intercepted a transmission from Archon. They're moving their primary operations to a mobile facility, a massive airship disguised as a freight carrier." Musk raised an eyebrow. "A moving target. Clever. But it also makes them vulnerable. If we can pinpoint its location, we can stop them before they deploy the virus." Alex's eyes lit up. The DDS system can do that. If we integrate real-time satellite data, it could track their movements. The team worked through the night to prepare the DDS system for its first major field test. Alex connected the system to Musk Industries' satellite network, feeding it a constant stream of data. "Here goes nothing," he muttered, activating the system. The monitors lit up as the DDS analyzed the data, identifying patterns and anomalies. Finally, a location appeared on the screen. Archon Mobile HQ detected. Coordinates locked. Maria grinned. "We've got them." Before the team could celebrate, the lab's alarms went off again. This time, the threat wasn't digital or distant. It was right outside. On the security cameras, a convoy of unmarked vehicles approached the facility. "They're here," Evelyn said, her voice trembling. "They're coming for the DDS." "How do you think Alex and the team will defend the lab against this new threat? Will they have to use the DDS system in ways they never expected? Share your ideas below." The sound of the convoy's engines roared through the compound's speakers as Alex's heart pounded in his chest. He watched in horror as the security footage showed dark, armored vehicles pulling up to the facility. "They're coming for us," he said, his voice tight with tension. Musk wasted no time. He sprang into action, grabbing a comm device and barking orders. "Activate all security protocols. We're not letting them breach this place." Maria immediately ran to the control room, monitoring the incoming threats. "They're not just here for the DDS. They're trying to capture us, take out our leaders." Alex's mind raced. "They'll know we're working on a counterattack. They won't wait to negotiate. We have to defend ourselves, but we can't risk the DDS falling into their hands." Evelyn's eyes narrowed as she watched the monitors. "We need to buy time. If we can hold them off long enough, I can implement a self-destruct sequence for the DDS. It'll make sure they can't use it." Musk looked at her sharply. "That's a last resort. We need the system. It's our only shot at stopping Archon for good." The first wave of attackers arrived, storming the facility's perimeter with overwhelming force. Armed operatives in tactical gear flooded the grounds, firing at anyone who dared resist. The team rushed to position themselves behind reinforced barriers, prepared for a fierce battle. "We need to keep them at bay as long as possible," Musk said, rallying everyone. "Alex, stay with the DDS. Maria, Evelyn, you're with me. We fight until we can't." Alex nodded, his fingers flying over the control panels. "If I don't make it out of here, make sure the DDS is kept intact." Outside, the sound of gunfire filled the air as the attackers pushed forward. Maria, armed with a high-powered rifle, took the first shot, knocking down one of the invaders. Evelyn followed suit, using her knowledge of Archon's tactics to disable their communications and disorient the attackers. Alex's heart pounded in his chest as he worked furiously to fortify the DDS system. Come on, just a little longer. He glanced at the screen, where Archon's plans were nearly completed. If they could take down the attackers and get the system online, they might have a chance to stop everything. Meanwhile, Musk led a small group of operatives toward the intruders, engaging in a fierce gunfight. His tactical experience was unmatched, and he quickly took out several of the attackers, but they kept coming. The facility was under siege. Just as the attackers began to break through one of the facility's walls, Alex received an unexpected alert on his screen. The DDS system had detected a secondary, hidden signal coming from within the compound. That's impossible, Alex muttered. It's coming from inside the building. Evelyn's face went pale. It's a trap? Before anyone could respond, a large explosion rattled the building. The secondary signal had triggered a series of booby traps throughout the facility, and now the entire compound was in chaos. Musk cursed under his breath as the building shook. We need to get out of here now. Amid the chaos, Evelyn's hand trembled as she held up a communicator. Musk, there's something you need to know. Someone on the inside has been working with Archon. They've been feeding them information the whole time. Musk's eyes widened with shock. Who? Who's been working for them? Evelyn lowered her gaze, unable to meet his eyes. It's me. The words hit Alex like a freight train. His mind raced, trying to process what she had just said. You were the one. He couldn't believe it. Evelyn had been the one to warn them about Archon, had been working beside them this entire time, and now she was the one who'd betrayed them? I didn't know what they were planning, Evelyn said, her voice cracking. I was forced into it. They promised they'd spare my family if I helped, but I didn't think they'd go this far. Musk's face was a mixture of rage and disbelief. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you come to me for help? Evelyn was crying now, her voice barely audible. I didn't know who to trust. I was trying to protect you, to stop them from destroying everything we've worked for. In the midst of the firefight and crumbling walls, Alex stared at Evelyn, his mind torn. The room was a battlefield. Shouts, gunfire, and the relentless pursuit of Archon's forces ringing in his ears. Yet in that moment, there was a kind of stillness between them. A fragile silence that felt like 1,000 unanswered questions. Is it true? Alex asked, his voice low. Do you want to help us, or have you already made your choice? Evelyn swallowed hard, her voice barely a whisper. I'm still with you. I never wanted this to happen. I'm trying to make things right. But just as she finished speaking, the compound's main door buckled from an incoming blast. Archon's forces were moments away from breaking in. Time was running out. Get to the underground bunker, Musk ordered, his eyes steely with resolve. We have one last chance to stop them. As Alex turned to follow, he caught a final glimpse of Evelyn, her expression filled with both guilt and determination. He couldn't decide if he should trust her or not. In the midst of the chaos, it seemed like the only thing he could do was survive. What do you think Alex should do? Should he trust Evelyn's sincerity, or should he prepare for the worst? Will the team be able to survive and fight back against Archon? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The metal door slammed shut behind them with a deafening clang, locking them into the narrow, dimly lit underground bunker. Alex's heart was racing as the sounds of distant explosions and gunfire echoed faintly from above. This is it. We're trapped, he muttered, staring at the small group around him. Musk paced the cramped bunker, his face grim as he scanned the screens of his portable devices. We've got limited time. Archon's forces are too close. If we don't figure out how to counterattack, we won't make it out of here. Maria's voice broke through the tension. Musk, we've been fighting this war for so long. What if this is it? What if we're too late? Her words were heavy with doubt, but also with a cold clarity that Alex couldn't ignore. Evelyn, standing a little apart from the group, spoke up in a quiet voice. We're not out of options yet. The DDS still has the potential to stop Archon, but we need to get to it first. Alex turned toward her, his eyes narrowing. Are you sure you can still make it work? She met his gaze. I can, but only if we can disrupt the incoming forces. Otherwise, We're dead in the water. Outside, Archon's men were closing in. They'd breached the surface facility, and now they were coming after the heart of the DDS. The pressure was mounting with every passing minute. "We can't afford to wait much longer," Musk said, his voice low and decisive. "I'll go out there with a small team. We need to hit them hard and fast. If we can create a distraction, maybe we'll buy enough time for Evelyn to finish the system." Alex's instincts flared. "Musk, it's too dangerous. We need everyone here, working together." But he knew deep down that Musk was right. They had no choice but to fight back, and fast. "Stay here and make sure the DDS is protected," Musk ordered. "Maria, Evelyn, with me. We're taking the fight to them." As they prepared to leave the safety of the bunker, Evelyn stepped up to Alex. "I know you don't trust me, but I swear, I'm on your side now. Please, don't let this be our last stand." Alex hesitated, weighing her words against the growing sense of dread that had been building since her confession. "I don't know if I can trust you, Evelyn, but for now, we need everyone in this fight." She nodded, looking pained but resolute. "Just get to the DDS. We'll hold them off as long as we can." Musk led the charge, bursting out of the bunker with a squad of their most experienced operatives. The cold air hit them like a slap, and the distant sounds of gunfire grew louder as they approached the compound's exit. In the control room, Alex's fingers flew across the keys as he monitored the system's data. He could feel the tension in the air, the weight of what was at stake. If Evelyn could complete the DDS process, they had a chance to cripple Archon's operations. But the longer they waited, the more vulnerable they became. Suddenly, the emergency alarms blared, sending a shockwave of panic through the group. "They've breached the inner vault," Maria shouted over the comms. "They're in the control room. We don't have much time." Alex clenched his fists. "We need a way out. Now." As he spoke, a loud crash echoed through the facility. The walls trembled. The final battle for the DDS had begun, and there was no turning back. What do you think will happen next? Will Musk and the team be able to stop Archon's forces before they reach the DDS? Should Alex trust Evelyn and continue working with her, or is it too risky? Share your predictions in the comments below. The ground shook beneath them as the sound of explosions echoed in the distance. Alex could feel the pressure mounting, the weight of their decisions crushing him. "We've reached the point of no return," he muttered under his breath, staring at the monitor. The countdown for the DDS activation had begun. Alex's fingers hovered over the control panel, sweat beading on his forehead. The systems were glitching. Archon's forces had infiltrated deeper into the facility, their presence more imminent than ever. But Alex knew there was no turning back. In the control room, Evelyn's voice crackled through the comms. "Alex, I've almost finished configuring the DDS, but I need more time. I can't do this while I'm under fire." "Just hold on a little longer," Alex replied, his voice tight. "We're all depending on you." Outside, Musk and the others were locked in a fierce battle. The sound of gunfire was relentless, punctuated by the occasional shout from one of their team members. But Musk remained focused, his eyes sharp as he coordinated the defense. "Keep pushing forward," he yelled, leading the charge into the fray. "We can't let them breach the vault." Back in the bunker, Maria's face was tense as she looked at Alex. "You know, we might not make it out of this, right?" she said quietly. Alex turned to face her. "I'm not thinking about that. We need to focus on stopping Archon." Maria sighed. "You're always so focused on the endgame. But the truth is, we've all made sacrifices to get here. I don't know if we'll have a future after this." Alex clenched his jaw. He had no time to deal with doubts now. But Maria's words stuck with him, a sharp reminder of everything they had lost along the way. In the control room, Evelyn worked furiously to finish the DDS system. Her hands flew over the keyboard as she entered the final commands. But just as she was about to complete the sequence, a loud crash sounded from the hallway. "Evelyn!" Alex shouted through the comms. "What's happening?" "Someone's coming," she replied, her voice strained. "I can't finish this with them so close. I'll have to buy time." Alex's heart sank. "Do whatever it takes. I'll try to help." Outside, the battle was intensifying. Archon's forces were almost upon them. Musk's team was doing everything they could to hold them off, but the numbers were overwhelming. The explosions and gunfire were getting closer, and every second felt like a lifetime. "We need to take them down now," Musk growled, ducking behind a pillar and firing back. "There's no other choice." The others nodded, grim determination written on their faces. They were fighting for survival now, survival for the future of humanity. Meanwhile, inside the control room, Evelyn's fingers were shaking as she adjusted the final parameters of the DDS. She could hear the sounds of approaching footsteps and knew she didn't have much time. "Please, just a little longer," she whispered to herself. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and the control room was plunged into darkness. A single voice crackled through the comms. "Evelyn, do you copy?" It was Alex's voice, but there was no time for a response. The sound of boots clanging against the metal floors grew louder. The enemy was here. Evelyn braced herself, gripping the control panel with all her strength. The countdown was ticking away, but she knew the final moments were coming. Would she finish the DDS in time? Or would Archon's forces stop them all before it was too late? What do you think will happen in the next chapter? Will Evelyn be able to complete the DDS system before Archon's forces break through? Do you think Musk and the team can hold their ground long enough? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Time seemed to stretch out in the dark, the sound of heavy footsteps drawing closer. Evelyn's heart raced as she scrambled to finish the DDS system. Every second counted. She could feel the weight of the world pressing down on her, but she knew she had no choice but to press on. "Evelyn, we need you." Alex's voice rang out through the static, desperate. "Whatever you're doing, finish it now." Her fingers moved faster over the keyboard, each keystroke a prayer. The darkness seemed to close in around her, but she pushed through, her determination unwavering. "Almost there," she muttered under her breath. "Just a little more." The footsteps grew louder, and Evelyn could hear the sound of the enemy outside the door. Her mind raced, trying to calculate the odds of finishing in time. Meanwhile, outside the control room, Musk and his team were engaged in a fierce firefight. Archon's forces were relentless, and the smoke from explosions filled the air, choking the battlefield. Musk's eyes scanned the area, calculating his next move. "We need to make it to that door," Musk shouted to his team, pointing toward the access point that led into the control room. "It's our only shot." But Archon's soldiers weren't giving up. They fought with a ferocity that matched Musk's determination. Every step they took was hard-earned, and their progress was slow. "Push through. Keep them at bay," Musk ordered. The tension in the air was palpable, and it felt as though the entire world was holding its breath. The fate of their mission, their lives, and possibly humanity itself rested on what happened next. Inside, Evelyn's hands trembled as she tried to complete the DDS system's final sequence. The countdown clock was ticking faster now, too fast. "Please, not now," she whispered, her voice breaking as the pressure mounted. Suddenly, the door burst open, and a squad of Archon soldiers stormed into the room. Evelyn looked up, fear flooding her chest. She was so close to finishing, too close to fail. One of the soldiers pointed his weapon at her, sneering. "Give it up, sweetheart. There's nowhere to run." But Evelyn didn't flinch. Her eyes narrowed, and in that moment, she made a decision. She wasn't going to let them take this from her. She quickly slammed her palm onto the emergency override button, locking the room down. "I'm not done yet," she said, her voice firm. "You'll have to kill me first." The soldiers froze, momentarily thrown off by her boldness. They hesitated, but Evelyn wasn't waiting around for them to decide. With a swift motion, she pressed the final key on the panel, and the DDS system activated with a low hum. "Did you get it?" Alex's voice crackled through the comms, hopeful, almost pleading. Evelyn took a deep breath and smiled. "It's done." In that instant, everything seemed to pause. The sound of gunfire from outside faded away as the DDS system hummed to life, its energy pulsating through the walls. The door to the control room remained locked, and Archon soldiers could do nothing but watch in disbelief. Alex, hearing the confirmation, let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding. "You did it, Evelyn. You saved us all." But just as they thought victory was within reach, the ground trembled beneath them. The air crackled with energy, and a voice boomed over the comms. Archon's voice. "You may have activated the DDS," Archon said, his voice cold and full of malice. "But it's too late. You're already too far gone." The final countdown on the DDS system flashed before Evelyn's eyes. The device was powering up, but as it did, she could see something else on the screen, a signal. Archon's plan wasn't over. Far from it. "We've been played," Evelyn gasped, her heart sinking. "The DDS is only a decoy. The real weapon is still active." A loud crash echoed through the facility, followed by a deep rumble that shook the walls. They weren't just fighting for the DDS anymore. They were fighting for their survival. What do you think is happening with Archon's new weapon? Is the DDS really a decoy? And what will Musk and his team do next? Let us know your theories and thoughts in the comments. The earth trembled beneath their feet, and the oppressive hum of energy filled the air. Evelyn's heart raced as she stared at the screen. The DDS was only part of Archon's grand plan. Whatever lay ahead would be far worse. And now, there was no turning back. The room was thick with tension as Evelyn and Alex stared at the screen, struggling to comprehend the chilling revelation. Archon's voice echoed in their earpieces, cold and menacing. "You think the DDS is the endgame? You've only activated a small piece of the puzzle." The realization hit them like a freight train. The device they had fought so hard to activate wasn't a weapon. It was a signal that would trigger Archon's real plan, the one they were still in the dark about. Alex slammed his fist into the table. "We've been set up. Everything we've done. It was just to buy them time." Evelyn's mind raced as she analyzed the data flashing across her screen. "We need to stop it. Whatever this weapon is, we need to shut it down before it's too late." Outside the control room, Musk and his team were still engaged in a fierce battle with Archon's forces. Their progress had slowed, but they had no choice but to keep moving forward. Every step they took brought them closer to the control room, but also closer to the unknown danger Archon had set in motion. "We've got to get in there," Musk growled, his voice filled with determination. "We're running out of time." As they made their way through the smoke-filled corridors, Musk's mind was racing. He knew that if they didn't stop whatever Archon had planned, the consequences would be catastrophic. "We can't let them activate whatever's coming next," Musk said, his eyes narrowing. "Get to that control room, whatever it takes." Back inside the control room, Evelyn was already moving into action. Her fingers flew over the keyboard as she tried to pinpoint the source of Archon's weapon. She could feel the seconds slipping away, each one more critical than the last. The countdown on the DDS system continued, but Evelyn knew it was just the beginning. "Alex, I need more time," Evelyn said, her voice strained. "I have to figure out where the weapon is and how to stop it." "I'll buy you as much time as I can," Alex replied, his determination unwavering. "Just find it. Fast." Evelyn nodded, focusing all her energy on the screen in front of her. The data streams were chaotic, but there was something hidden in the lines of code that she could trace back to Archon's primary facility. "There," she said, her voice low with shock. "It's not just here. It's everywhere." He set up a network of weapons, each one more powerful than the last. Her hands froze. They weren't just facing a single weapon anymore. Archon had engineered an entire army of destruction, all linked together, ready to unleash hell on the world. Musk burst into the control room, his team right behind him. The doors slammed shut, locking out the chaos of the battlefield. "We're in," Musk said, his voice heavy with urgency. "What's the status?" Evelyn's eyes met his, and in that moment, they both understood the gravity of the situation. "It's worse than we thought. Archon's plan isn't just about the DDS. It's about a global network of weapons, and they're all connected." Alex stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. "We need to destroy the entire network. If we don't, he'll be able to trigger them all at once. We'll have no chance." Musk's face hardened as he processed the information. "Then we need to get to the core. That's where the system is controlled. If we can destroy it, we destroy everything." Evelyn looked at the countdown on the DDS, then back at Musk. "We don't have much time. If we're going to stop this, we need to act now." Musk hesitated for a moment, weighing the cost of what he was about to suggest. "The core is heavily fortified. We'll need a diversion to get inside. Evelyn's mind raced. The battle outside had already taken a toll on their team, but they had no choice but to risk everything. I'll set up the diversion, she said, determination in her voice. But I need someone to hold off Archon's forces long enough for me to get to the core. Musk glanced at Alex, who nodded. I'll handle it. Musk turned to Evelyn. Be careful. We can't afford to lose anyone else. As Evelyn and Alex prepared to carry out their dangerous plan, the countdown on the DDS continued to tick down. The weight of the world rested on their shoulders. They had one shot, and if they failed, everything they had fought for would be lost. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a deep rumble echoed through the control room. Evelyn's eyes widened in horror. The network was activating. It's too late, she whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. The core is already triggered. The weapons are coming online. What do you think will happen next? Can Musk and the team stop Archon's network in time? Will Evelyn and Alex make it to the core? Let us know what you think in the comments. The room felt like it was closing in on them, the weight of the world pressing down. With every passing second, Evelyn could hear the countdown in her mind. Each tick of the clock a reminder that failure wasn't an option. The next move would either save the world or doom it forever. As Evelyn and Alex rushed toward the heart of the control room, a sharp beep echoed through the air. Her eyes darted to the screen. Nothing was responding. It was like the entire system was locking them out. We're losing control, Evelyn shouted, panic creeping into her voice. Alex's expression hardened. We need to move now. You can fix this once we're in. Evelyn nodded, but her heart pounded in her chest. She could feel Archon's presence looming over them, the mastermind behind this grand web of destruction. The path ahead was uncertain, and failure meant that the stakes were higher than they'd ever been before. Suddenly, the lights dimmed. An eerie silence followed, like the calm before a storm. Evelyn glanced around, feeling the dread seep into her bones. There's no time left. Alex's voice was low, filled with grim resolve. We have to go now. Musk stepped forward, his usual calm demeanor shattered by the urgency of the situation. We need to create a distraction, he said. If we're going to break into the core, I need to draw their attention away. You two handle the rest. Evelyn stared at him, a flicker of doubt in her eyes. Musk, it's too dangerous. You can't do this alone. He shook his head, the determination on his face unwavering. This is the only way. If I don't draw them out, we'll never make it in time. Trust me. Evelyn opened her mouth to argue, but no words came out. The truth was, Musk was right. They had no choice. Alex, stay with Evelyn, Musk ordered. I'll handle Archon's forces. You two stop that countdown. Before they could protest, Musk turned and sprinted toward the door. The control room had become a battlefield, and Musk was prepared to face the enemy head-on. As Musk exited the control room, the full scale of the battle outside became apparent. Explosions rocked the walls as gunfire echoed through the air. Archon's forces had begun to converge, and time was running out. Musk dove into the chaos, taking cover behind a wall as lasers and bullets flew past him. His mind was focused on one goal, creating the diversion that would give Evelyn and Alex the chance they needed. He scanned the area, spotting a cluster of enemy soldiers near a large control panel. With a grin, he pulled out a device from his jacket, a small explosive. Musk had always been known for his unorthodox solutions. Let's make some noise, he muttered to himself as he set the device. Inside the control room, the screen before Evelyn blinked red. The countdown was accelerating. Only minutes remained before the core would activate and launch the global weapons network. Her mind raced. I've almost got it, she said through gritted teeth, her fingers flying across the keyboard. Just give me a little more time. Alex paced behind her, his eyes flicking nervously to the door. Musk's plan better work, he muttered, his voice tense. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the building. The walls trembled as dust and debris filled the air. The diversion had been set. That's our signal, Evelyn said. We need to get to the core now. Alex nodded and moved quickly, but Evelyn hesitated. Something didn't feel right. She could almost feel Archon's eyes watching them, waiting for them to make a mistake. They raced through the halls, the sounds of battle fading into the background as they neared the core's location. The closer they got, the stronger the sense of impending doom grew. Evelyn's mind kept circling back to Archon's cryptic message. He'd said the DDS was only part of the plan. But what was the real weapon? And why had they been led into this trap? She couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking straight into a death sentence. They arrived at the entrance to the core, a massive steel door. Evelyn stepped forward and typed in the override codes, her fingers trembling with each press of the keys. Come on, she muttered, the seconds feeling like hours. The door creaked and slowly began to open. What they found inside was not what they expected. The room was eerily quiet, the walls lined with screens displaying data. None of it was familiar. This wasn't a weapon. It was something worse. Evelyn, what is this? Alex asked, his voice filled with shock. Evelyn's eyes widened in disbelief as the truth began to sink in. The core was not a weapon. It was a gateway. The DDS, it wasn't to activate a weapon, Evelyn whispered, her voice filled with horror. It was to open a portal. Alex stared at her, confusion written all over his face. A portal? To where? Evelyn's hands shook as she studied the data. The readings were unlike anything she had ever seen before. The portal was not just to another place. It was a door to a dimension, one where Archon's true power lay. This isn't just about taking over Earth, she said. This is about taking over everything. Before they could process the magnitude of what they had discovered, the room suddenly lit up. The portal began to hum, the air growing thick with energy. Evelyn's heart skipped a beat as the walls around them started to shift. I think we've just opened Pandora's box, she said, her voice barely a whisper. The portal flashed, and a strange figure appeared in the center. Archon's true form, the mastermind behind it all, stood before them, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. Welcome, Archon said, his voice dripping with malice. You've finally arrived. Now, let's see if you can survive the true test. What will Evelyn and Alex do now that they've unlocked the portal? Can they stop Archon's ultimate plan? Let us know what you think in the comments. The temperature in the room dropped, the air crackling with unnatural energy. Evelyn's heart raced as Archon's figure loomed before them, his dark silhouette casting an ominous shadow. There was no turning back now. The battle for Earth, and perhaps even for existence itself, had just begun. Evelyn's gaze was fixed on the swirling vortex at the center of the room. The portal was no longer just a display. It was alive, pulsing with an energy that felt both alien and ancient. It hummed with a frequency that sent chills down her spine. Archon stepped forward, his eyes glowing with an unsettling light. You've been deceived, he said, his voice echoing throughout the chamber. This was never about control or domination. It was about evolution. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. Evolution, she repeated, struggling to make sense of what he was saying. Archon smiled, a twisted grin that sent a shiver through her. Yes, evolution. The portal leads to a dimension where humanity is no longer bound by its limitations. A world where intelligence, power, and potential have no bounds. You were merely pawns in my grand design. Alex clenched his fists. You were using us. The DDS, the countdown, everything. It was all a lie? Not a lie, Archon corrected, but a necessary part of the process. You see, humanity is on the brink of a new era. The portal will merge this world with the next, creating a new race, one superior to anything you can imagine. And you, Evelyn, are the key to unlocking that future. Evelyn's mind spun. Everything they had fought for, all the lives they had risked, had been in vain. But there was still one question burning in her mind. Why me? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Why did you need me? Archon's expression softened, almost as if he pitied her. Because you, Evelyn, are not like the others. Your intellect, your ability to understand complex systems, the way you see the world, it's the key. You are the one who can unlock the portal's true potential. Only your mind can bridge the gap between dimensions. Evelyn shook her head. I'm not a tool for you to use. You always were, Archon said coldly. The moment you decoded the first part of the DDS, you set this in motion. But now, You are standing at the precipice of greatness. All that you've learned will make you more powerful than you ever dreamed. Alex stepped forward, his eyes burning with anger. We won't let you do this. You won't control Evelyn or anyone else. Archon turned his gaze on Alex, his expression darkening. You cannot stop me. No one can. The portal is already opening, and when it does, I will reign supreme across every dimension. Evelyn glanced at Alex, and for a brief moment, they shared a silent understanding. They couldn't let Archon succeed. Not for their world, not for any world. The countdown was still running, the digital clock on the wall flickering ominously. Evelyn's mind raced as she tried to think of a way to stop Archon. She knew they couldn't simply destroy the portal. It was too powerful. They had to find a way to use its energy against him. Alex, we need to disrupt the flow, Evelyn said, her voice steady despite the chaos. If we can send a feedback pulse into the portal, we might be able to destabilize it. Alex nodded, already understanding what she meant. I'll do it. But how do we get close enough without him stopping us? Evelyn's eyes flicked to Musk, who had been silent until now. He was crouched behind a pillar, observing the situation. The moment he saw her glance in his direction, he gave a subtle nod. He was ready for his part. I'll handle Archon, Musk said, standing up from his hiding place. You two focus on the portal. Evelyn didn't have time to argue. The plan was risky, but it was the only chance they had. Musk moved swiftly toward Archon, his eyes cold and calculating. This ends now, he said, his voice filled with conviction. Archon turned to face him, the smile never leaving his face. You are foolish, Musk. You can't defeat me. You're playing a game you can't win. Musk didn't respond with words. Instead, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. Without warning, he activated it, sending a pulse of energy toward Archon. The blast hit Archon with full force, but the man didn't even flinch. Is that all you have? Archon taunted, unfazed. Musk's expression remained unchanged. That was just a distraction. The device had been a decoy. While Archon was distracted by the pulse, Musk quickly activated another, more powerful device hidden inside his jacket. This time, the blast didn't miss. Archon's face contorted in pain as the energy blast hit him square in the chest. He staggered backward, momentarily losing his footing. Evelyn and Alex didn't waste a second. With Archon distracted, they rushed toward the console at the center of the room. Evelyn's fingers flew across the keys, trying to override the system and send the pulse into the portal. Come on, she muttered, her hands trembling. Alex kept watch, his eyes darting between the portal and the door, knowing that Archon could recover at any moment. Finally, with a sharp beep, the console lit up green. The pulse had been activated. The portal began to flicker, its once smooth surface now distorting and cracking. It's working, Evelyn shouted. We're destabilizing it. But just as they thought they had one, the room began to shake violently. The entire building seemed to groan under the strain of the failing portal. A deep, guttural growl echoed from the center of the vortex, and a new figure emerged from the swirling chaos. Something larger, more menacing than anything they had faced before. Evelyn's heart sank. This isn't over. It's just begun. What do you think Evelyn and Alex will do now? Can Musk survive the battle with Archon, and will they manage to stop the portal in time? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. A monstrous figure loomed in the wake of the collapsing portal. Its form was both terrifying and magnificent, a creature born from the very fabric of the dimension Archon had sought to unlock. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. They had barely escaped the clutches of Archon, and now a new nightmare had come to life. The real test had only just begun. The creature's silhouette flickered in and out of existence, its form constantly shifting as though it was not entirely of this world. Its eyes, if they could even be called eyes, were glowing orbs of shifting light, endlessly absorbing the energy from the portal. Its body was a mass of dark tendrils and ethereal energy, seeming to take shape with every passing second. Evelyn's heart pounded in her chest. She could feel the energy in the room, the pulse of the portal still reverberating through the walls. This entity was no mere illusion. It was a harbinger of destruction. What the hell is that thing? Alex whispered, his voice trembling. "I don't know," Evelyn replied, but her tone was steely. "But we have to stop it." As if sensing their presence, the creature turned its head, the shifting lights within its eyes locking onto them with an unsettling intensity. A chilling growl escaped its unseen mouth, echoing through the room. "It's coming for us," Alex muttered, his fists clenched in a futile gesture of defiance. Musk didn't hesitate. His eyes narrowed as he sized up the new threat. "It's feeding off the portal's energy," he said, already formulating a plan. "We have to sever the connection between it and the portal, or it will grow stronger." Evelyn nodded, taking a deep breath. She knew that every moment counted. "How do we do that?" Musk glanced at the device in his hand, a compact piece of technology they had used earlier. "We need to overload the portal's power grid, but it's risky. If we do it wrong, the entire building could collapse." Alex exchanged a look with Evelyn. "Do we have a choice?" Before Evelyn could respond, the creature lunged forward, its tendrils whipping through the air like serpents. It moved with an otherworldly speed, making it nearly impossible to track. The air grew thick with tension as it advanced. "Move!" Musk shouted, diving toward the control panel. Evelyn and Alex scrambled to get out of the way as the creature's tendrils lashed out, tearing through the air with terrifying force. The entire room seemed to vibrate under its power. The countdown, which had momentarily stopped, resumed with a menacing beep. The clock was ticking again. Musk worked furiously at the control panel, his fingers flying across the buttons. The creature hissed, its presence growing stronger as it fed on the portal's energy. Evelyn glanced at Alex. "We need to keep it distracted." Without hesitation, Alex grabbed a nearby metal rod and hurled it at the creature. It slammed into the mass of tendrils, but the creature barely seemed to notice. "We need more," Evelyn said, her voice urgent. "We need to break its connection to the portal." The creature screeched, its form flickering violently. The light within its eyes flared with an intensity that threatened to blind them all. It was as if the creature was aware of their every move, anticipating their actions before they made them. Alex and Evelyn moved in tandem, dodging the creature's attacks while trying to find a way to disrupt its feeding. Musk's voice rang out from the control panel. "I'm almost there, just a little longer." Suddenly, the room seemed to collapse inward as the creature let out a piercing roar, its tendrils snapping like whips. The power surged again, and Evelyn realized with horror that they were losing control. The building was starting to shake, the walls cracking under the strain of the collapsing energy field. "We don't have much time," Evelyn shouted. "We need to act now." Musk slammed a button on the panel, and the entire room lit up with a blinding flash of light. For a moment, everything went silent. The creature froze in midair, its tendrils suspended. Then, with a deafening crash, the portal imploded. Evelyn covered her ears as the shockwave tore through the room. The air was thick with dust and debris, and the creature shrieked in agony. But the light began to fade. The portal's energy was dissipating, and the creature's form was beginning to unravel. "It's working," Alex shouted, a note of hope creeping into his voice. But just as they thought they had succeeded, the creature's eyes flared once more, and it let out a final, horrific scream. With a violent burst, it launched itself toward Musk. Evelyn acted on instinct, grabbing the nearest object, a large piece of debris, and hurling it at the creature. The impact knocked the creature off course, but not enough to stop it. The creature lashed out at Musk, its tendrils wrapping around his body with unrelenting force. "No!" Evelyn screamed, rushing toward him. But the creature was too strong. It pulled Musk toward its open maw, its dark energy ready to consume him. In that moment, Evelyn realized they had one last chance to save him. But at what cost? Will Evelyn be able to save Musk in time, or will they lose him to the creature's wrath? What should they do next? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. The creature's tendrils wrapped around Musk like a vice, dragging him closer to its abyssal mouth. Evelyn's heart raced as she lunged toward him, her muscles burning with desperation. Every second mattered. But as she reached out to grab him, a sharp realization struck. She was too late. The creature was stronger than anything they had faced. There was only one way to save him now. Evelyn's hands shook as she reached for the nearest object, a jagged piece of metal debris. Her fingers brushed against its cold surface, and she swung it toward the creature's tendrils with all the force she could muster. But the metal barely made a dent. The creature's grip tightened, and Musk's face contorted in pain. "Let go of him," Evelyn shouted, her voice raw with anger. But the creature's only response was a horrifying screech, vibrating the air around them. It was pulling Musk toward it at an accelerating pace. "Alex!" Evelyn screamed, her eyes locked on her friend, who was now scrambling to find a way to help. Alex moved with purpose, his face grim as he threw more debris at the creature. But it wasn't enough. The creature's strength was overwhelming, its power growing with each passing moment as it consumed the energy from the portal. Evelyn felt her breath catch in her chest. She knew they were running out of time. Musk's eyes locked with Evelyn's. Despite the pain and the terror, there was a resolve in his gaze. "You need to," he gasped, cutting off his words as the creature's tendrils tightened further around his body. "There's no time. You have to stop it now." Evelyn's heart dropped. Musk knew that the portal's energy was corrupting everything around them. If they didn't sever the creature's hold now, it would consume them all. But to do that, Evelyn had to make a decision, one that could either save them or destroy them. "We need to shut the portal down completely," Musk grunted, his words labored. "But to do that, you'll have to sacrifice the connection. It's the only way." Evelyn's mind reeled. "Sacrifice? What are you talking about?" Musk's eyes softened, a faint smile flickering at the corners of his lips. "You have to overload the power grid. It will sever the link between the portal and the creature. The explosion will close the rift." "But that means," Evelyn's voice trembled. The plan was insane. The explosion would destroy everything. Musk's eyes glinted with determination. "You have to trust me. I'm not going to make it out of this. But you can." Evelyn stood frozen, the weight of Musk's words pressing down on her like a physical force. The thought of losing him was unbearable. But in that moment, she knew what she had to do. She had seen what this creature could do. She couldn't let it consume the world. "I won't leave you," Evelyn whispered, her voice barely audible. Musk's gaze softened as he saw the determination in her eyes. "You will. You have to. There's no time." Evelyn turned away from Musk, her eyes filling with tears. She didn't want to make this choice, but she knew it was the only one they had. She sprinted toward the control panel, ignoring the tremors in the air as the creature's energy surged. The portal was still active, feeding the creature's power. The countdown was ticking again, faster this time. Evelyn's fingers flew over the console, the plan Musk had given her playing through her mind like a script. She had to override the grid's safety mechanisms to overload the system, but if she failed, they were all finished. The creature screeched again, its body writhing in agony as the energy it was feeding on started to wane. It was aware of the threat, and it was not going down without a fight. Its tendrils flailed violently, crashing into the walls and floor. "Come on," Evelyn muttered, gritting her teeth. As Evelyn worked the panel, the room around her seemed to close in. The energy from the portal crackled in the air, and she could feel the building beginning to shake violently. It was as if the very foundation of the structure was being torn apart. Behind her, she heard Musk's voice, strained but resolute. "Evelyn, you have to do it now." She hesitated, her hand hovering over the final switch. The creature's tendrils were now wrapped around Musk completely, and his screams echoed through the room. She could feel the weight of his life hanging in the balance. There was no going back. With a final, determined breath, Evelyn slammed her hand down on the switch. For a split second, everything went silent. Then, an overwhelming blast of light engulfed the room. The air itself seemed to shatter with the force of the explosion, and the building groaned as if it were about to collapse. Evelyn was thrown to the ground, her vision blurry. Her ears rang with the sound of the blast. But through the haze, she could make out the silhouette of the creature, now disintegrating into nothingness. The portal's energy had been severed. The creature's hold on the world had been broken. But at what cost? The room was still. The air was thick with dust, and Evelyn struggled to her feet. She could barely see through the smoke, but she knew the creature was gone. She stumbled toward Musk, who lay motionless on the ground. The tendrils that had once encased him had vanished, leaving nothing but scorch marks on the floor. "No," Evelyn whispered, her heart sinking. She kneeled beside him, her hand trembling as she touched his face. But then, Musk's eyelids fluttered open, and a weak smile spread across his face. "You did it," he rasped, his voice barely a whisper. "You saved us." Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. Musk was alive. But the question remained, what had they truly unleashed? And would the world ever be the same again? Do you think Musk's survival is just the beginning of something bigger? What will happen now that the portal has been closed? Share your thoughts below, and let us know how you think the story will unfold. The ground beneath their feet trembled as the dust settled. The creature was gone, the portal closed, but the reality of what they had done was just beginning to sink in. The walls of the underground lab were cracked, the power grid flickering. Musk sat up slowly, eyes scanning the destruction, his face pale but resolute. "Did we win?" Evelyn asked, her voice tight with uncertainty. Musk's gaze hardened as he looked at the ruins around them. "I'm not sure, but I have a feeling we haven't seen the last of this." The silence that followed was deafening. Evelyn looked around at the devastation. The lab was in ruins, the walls scarred by the intense energy that had surged through them. Despite the creature's defeat, the atmosphere felt heavy, like something was still waiting to break free. Musk, now fully alert, stood up and brushed the dust off his clothes. He looked at Evelyn with a mix of admiration and concern. "You did well," he said softly, "but we have to get out of here. There's no telling how much of the damage has spread." Evelyn nodded, feeling a strange mix of relief and dread. She had saved Musk, but something about this victory didn't sit right with her. They made their way out of the wreckage, careful to avoid the smoldering debris that littered the floor. The deeper they walked into the facility, the more they realized the extent of the damage. The walls were cracked, the power was unstable, and the once vibrant energy of the portal had left a lingering chill in the air. "We need to find the others," Evelyn said, her voice edged with panic. "Alex, where's Alex?" As they approached the exit, they heard a faint sound. Faint but unmistakable. It was the sound of footsteps, deliberate and measured. Evelyn tensed, instinctively pulling Musk behind her, her mind racing. "Stay back," she whispered. The figure that emerged from the shadows wasn't Alex. It wasn't anyone they knew. It was a man in a dark suit, his face hidden by a pair of black sunglasses. He stood with an air of authority, his expression unreadable. Musk's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" The man stepped forward, his gaze cold and calculating. "I think you know who I am," he replied. "I'm here to clean up your mess." Evelyn's stomach churned. She had expected government interference, but this felt different. "What do you mean, clean up?" she demanded. The man ignored her question and turned his attention to Musk. "We've been monitoring this operation for a while, Mr. Musk," he said, his voice low and ominous. "And what you've unleashed here is far more dangerous than you realize." Musk straightened, his demeanor shifting to one of defiance. "What are you talking about? The creature is gone. The portal is closed." The man let out a short laugh, a sound that sent a chill down Evelyn's spine. "You think it's that simple?" He motioned to the wreckage around them. "What you've done isn't over. The damage has already spread beyond this facility. We're just beginning to see the consequences." Evelyn felt a rush of panic, her mind racing to piece together what the man was saying. What consequences? What's happening? The man's lips curled into a grim smile. The creature was a symptom, not the cause. The portal, the energy you unleashed, it's infected the world. And there are others who are now aware of its power. Musk's face darkened. "You're talking about other organizations? Other powers?" The man nodded. "Yes, and they won't stop until they find the source. The damage you've caused has already begun to ripple through the global network." Evelyn's heart dropped. She had thought the creature's destruction was the end of the nightmare, but now it seemed like it was just the beginning. "We need to leave. Now," Musk said, his voice sharp with urgency. "I don't know who you are, but I'm not letting you take control of this situation." The man raised an eyebrow but didn't move. You're not in a position to make demands, Mr. Musk. We've been tracking this event long before you showed up, and we're prepared to handle the fallout. Evelyn's fingers curled into fists. We're not some part of your secret operation. You don't get to decide what happens next. The man's eyes flashed with something that could have been amusement. You think you have control here? He chuckled softly. You're too late for that. Musk stepped forward, his expression a mix of defiance and determination. Then we'll see who's really in control. The man studied Musk for a moment, then made a gesture with his hand. Two more figures emerged from the shadows, their faces just as unreadable. Mr. Musk, the man said, his tone now laced with threat. You may have your own plans, but you're not walking out of here with anything more than your life. Evelyn felt her pulse quicken. This wasn't just a government cleanup operation. This was something far deeper and more dangerous. Musk had never backed down from a challenge before, but this was different. Let's go, Musk said suddenly, grabbing Evelyn's arm. We don't have much time. They bolted for the door, the figures in black hot on their heels. As they sprinted through the facility, Evelyn's mind raced. Who were these people? What had they really unleashed? And why was Musk being targeted now? The answers seemed farther out of reach than ever, but one thing was clear. Their fight was far from over. The world had changed, and so had their roles in it. What do you think of the mysterious figures chasing Musk and Evelyn? Do you believe the portal's destruction is just the start of something bigger? Share your thoughts below, and let us know where you think the story will go from here. The air was thick with tension as Musk and Evelyn ran down the dark corridors of the underground lab. Footsteps echoed behind them, growing louder with every passing second. Musk's heart raced, not just from the fear of capture, but from the overwhelming realization that they were being hunted by forces far more powerful than he had anticipated. We can't outrun them, Evelyn gasped, glancing over her shoulder. Musk's eyes narrowed as he scanned the dimly lit passage ahead. We don't have to outrun them. We just need to outsmart them. They darted around corners, the sound of pursuit never far behind. Evelyn's breath came in sharp gasps, her legs burning from the constant sprinting. She had never imagined a day like this, where their lives were no longer in their own hands. Where are we going? Evelyn asked, her voice trembling. This place is a maze. We need to find a way out of here, Musk said through gritted teeth, his eyes scanning for an exit. The surface. We need to get above ground. The walls seemed to close in on them, each turn offering only more of the same endless hallways. There was no escape route in sight, no hope of safety. Every shadow felt like an enemy, every sound a reminder of the danger closing in. Can you find a way out? Musk asked urgently. Evelyn's mind raced. She had worked in the facility for years, but the layout had always been confusing. Still, one part of the lab stood out in her memory, an old maintenance exit that led to a nearby forest. I think I know where to go, she said, determination setting in. Follow me. They turned sharply down another hallway, their footsteps now the only sound in the silence that followed the heavy chase. Evelyn led the way, pushing through a steel door at the far end. A set of old, flickering lights illuminated the narrow tunnel beyond. Come on, she urged, her voice more confident now. They pushed through the maintenance tunnels, the air growing thicker and colder as they neared the surface. The faint sounds of their pursuers were muffled, but still present, and the pressure in Evelyn's chest only grew heavier with each passing minute. This way, she whispered, pointing to a ladder that led to the outside. Musk glanced behind them one last time, then followed her up the ladder. As they emerged into the night air, they were met with an eerie stillness, nothing like the chaos inside the lab. Stay low, Musk instructed, pulling Evelyn down as a shadowy figure passed by. They crouched in the tall grass, watching as the man in black patrolled the area, unaware of their escape. Once the figure moved out of sight, Musk stood up, wiping the dirt off his clothes. His mind was spinning. Who were these people? How had they known about the lab? What was this mess that they were so concerned about? Evelyn was clearly shaken, but she steadied herself and faced Musk. We need answers, Elon. They're not just some government cleanup crew. They're something else. Musk looked at her, the weight of their situation settling in. I know. This isn't over. Whatever we started, it's bigger than us now. They moved quickly, knowing they couldn't linger outside for long. Let's get to the car. We'll head to my place. We'll figure this out from there. As they reached Musk's car, Evelyn turned to him, her face filled with resolve. Elon, we need to stop running. We need to understand what we've gotten ourselves into. Musk nodded, but the unease in his expression didn't fade. I know, but we have to be careful. These people are powerful, and if they've been watching me, then they know more than we think. As they drove through the quiet streets, the weight of the situation pressed down on them both. Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Every streetlight that flickered felt like an omen. Every passing car felt like a potential threat. Who do you think they are? She asked, breaking the silence. Musk's face darkened as he leaned back in his seat, his mind working through the pieces of the puzzle. They're not just a government agency. They're too organized, too prepared, and they seem to know exactly what we're capable of. We've only seen the tip of the iceberg. Evelyn's heart sank. So what now? How do we stop them? Musk's gaze hardened, and for the first time, he allowed himself to show the weight of the responsibility on his shoulders. We don't stop them. We expose them. When they finally arrived at Musk's home, he wasted no time. He immediately began to work, setting up secure communications channels and accessing encrypted files. Evelyn watched as he swiftly navigated through screens and data streams, the once familiar, secure world now seeming foreign and dangerous. I've been tracking them, Musk said after a few moments, his voice low. I think I've found something. These people, this organization, has been operating for decades, pulling strings behind the scenes. And they've been monitoring me for much longer than I realized. Evelyn stepped closer, trying to make sense of the growing web of conspiracy. Why? What do they want from you? Musk hesitated, then turned to her with a grave look. It's not just me. They want control. They've been manipulating technology, humanity's progress, for their own benefit. And I think they were using the lab to open the portal for something far worse than we ever imagined. Before Evelyn could respond, the room went dark. The computer screens flickered out, and the lights buzzed before going completely silent. Elon, Evelyn whispered, fear creeping into her voice. We're not alone. What do you think of Musk's plan to expose the hidden organization? What do you think they're really after? Will they be able to stop the organization before it's too late? Share your thoughts below, and let us know what you think will happen next. The silence in Musk's home was deafening. Evelyn's heart pounded as she instinctively reached for the flashlight on the counter. The lights flickered once more before going completely dark. A cold sweat broke out across her forehead. She knew they were not alone. Who's there? Musk's voice was steady, though his fingers hovered over the emergency panic button under the table. But the intruder wasn't making a sound, almost as if they were waiting for something. Evelyn turned to Musk, whispering urgently, "We need to move. Now." Musk and Evelyn sprang into action, instinctively heading toward the back of the house, avoiding the front door. Musk grabbed his phone, trying to check the security system, but the screen went black before he could unlock it. "They've disabled everything," he muttered. "They're good, really good." The two moved silently through the house, trying to stay as far from the potential intruders as possible. The entire building seemed to hold its breath, every creak and groan of the old walls amplifying the tension in the air. "We need to go underground," Musk said. "I have a bunker. Follow me." The sound of a door creaking open made them freeze. Footsteps echoed down the hallway, growing louder by the second. As they crouched in the shadows, preparing to make a break for the hidden stairwell, a figure appeared at the end of the hallway. A familiar voice spoke, low and calm. "You two always did have a way of making things interesting, didn't you?" Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. It was a man she never expected to see. Nathan Pierce, the former agent who had once worked for Musk before abruptly disappearing years ago. He had been an ally, until he wasn't. "Nathan?" Musk's voice was a mix of surprise and suspicion. "What the hell are you doing here?" Nathan stepped into the light, his dark eyes betraying no emotion. "I came to help. You're in deeper than you think, Elon. You need more than your money and technology to survive this one." Musk narrowed his eyes, unsure whether to trust him. "Last I checked, You were supposed to be dead. I've been laying low, Nathan said, a small smirk tugging at his lips, for reasons that are about to become very clear. Now, are you two coming, or are we going to stand here and wait to be caught? Musk glanced at Evelyn, who gave a hesitant nod. As much as they didn't trust Nathan, he was the only option they had at the moment. They made their way to the hidden underground bunker, a facility Musk had built in secret years ago. It was designed to withstand an EMP, with communication systems far more secure than any standard network. But even that might not be enough to stop the enemies they were facing. Once inside, Nathan sealed the hatch behind them, activating a series of security protocols. The room, filled with screens and monitors, hummed to life as Musk quickly got to work. Evelyn took a seat next to him. So, what exactly do we do now? We've got enemies everywhere. And you? She gestured to Nathan. You disappeared without a trace. Nathan leaned against the wall, crossing his arms. You two have no idea how much trouble you're in. That lab, the experiments, they weren't just about opening a portal. They were about controlling minds, Elon. About creating something that could change the very fabric of humanity. And you've been unknowingly part of it for longer than you think. Musk's brow furrowed as he processed the words. Control? What are you talking about? Nathan's gaze turned serious. I wasn't just an agent. I was inside too. But when I learned the truth about what they were really doing, I had to get out. I went into hiding. Now, I'm here because I believe you have a chance to stop this before it spirals out of control. Musk's fingers flew over the keyboard as Nathan's words sank in. The screens in front of him displayed encrypted files, laboratory schematics, research documents, and records that hinted at the true extent of the project. The files showed that the organization Musk was up against had far more power than he realized, controlling vast networks of influence and resources. They're not just interested in the technology, Elon, Nathan continued. They're looking to create a race of beings with abilities beyond our comprehension. They're trying to hack the human mind, implant new thoughts, ideas, whole identities. Your work in artificial intelligence? They've been studying you for years. Evelyn's eyes widened. But if they can control the minds of the people around them, she trailed off, the realization hitting her hard. What does that mean for us? Musk turned away from the screen, his face grim. It means we're not just fighting against a group of rogue scientists. We're fighting a force that could rewrite the very foundation of society. And if we fail... If you fail, Nathan interrupted, his voice low, it's over. For everyone. Musk stood up, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. We're not going to fail. We have to stop them before they can use whatever they've learned against the world. We need to take the fight to them. Nathan's expression softened. It won't be easy. They'll come for you, and they'll come for you hard. But you're right about one thing. You can't back down now. Evelyn stood up as well, her resolve growing stronger with each passing second. Then let's end this. Once and for all. Musk turned to Nathan. You're with us then? Nathan nodded. I'll help you expose them, but we need to act fast, before they realize you've caught onto their plans. Just as Musk was about to open another file, the monitors flickered again, and a warning message appeared on the screen. Alert! Breach detected. Unknown entry detected at primary facility. Musk froze. They found us. The countdown had begun. They had no more time to waste. The air inside the bunker grew thick with tension as the countdown on the screen continued to tick down. We don't have much time, Musk muttered, his eyes scanning the screen as it flashed red with another warning. They're closing in. We need to move now. Evelyn's heart raced as she grabbed Musk's arm. Where do we go? They found us. Nathan stood by the door, a grim look on his face. The only place left is the primary facility. It's the heart of their operation. If we're going to stop them, that's where it all ends. Musk didn't hesitate. Then we go there. He turned to Evelyn. We don't have a choice. With little more than a plan and determination, they began to make their way out of the bunker. The walls felt like they were closing in as they navigated the hidden corridors beneath the estate. Every second was precious, and every creak of the floorboards or flicker of the lights sent a fresh wave of panic through their bodies. They couldn't afford to be caught. Nathan led the way, and Musk and Evelyn followed closely behind. "We've got 2 routes to the facility," Nathan said, glancing over his shoulder. "One is through the back entrance, which is less guarded. The other is the main entrance, but it's heavily protected." Evelyn looked at Musk. "The back entrance sounds like our best shot, right?" Musk nodded, but he looked deep in thought. "If they know we're here, the back entrance might already be compromised. We'll take our chances with the main entrance. It's the only way we can be sure." As they reached the outer perimeter of the estate, the sound of heavy boots pounding against the ground echoed through the night. The enemy was close, too close. Musk signaled for everyone to stop. They crouched low in the shadows, watching as armed guards patrolled the area. "They've set up a perimeter," Nathan whispered. "They're trying to catch us before we make it to the facility." "How much time do we have?" Evelyn asked, her voice barely audible. "Not long," Nathan replied. "We need to move fast and stay out of sight. Follow my lead." Without waiting for a response, Nathan darted from shadow to shadow, making his way toward the main entrance. Musk and Evelyn followed closely, hearts pounding in their chests. The sound of footsteps grew louder as they neared the facility, and the tension in the air was palpable. Just as they reached the door, a guard turned the corner. "Get down," Nathan hissed. They flattened themselves against the wall, holding their breath as the guard passed by, oblivious to their presence. Once he was gone, Nathan motioned for them to move quickly. The door to the facility was just ahead. Inside the facility, the stakes were higher than ever. Every corner was filled with technology that Musk had once dreamed of, but now, it all seemed like a nightmare. Screens displayed encrypted data, blueprints of the mind control project, and the faces of those who had been transformed into test subjects. Musk clenched his fists. This has to end now. As they moved deeper into the facility, the sound of footsteps echoed through the halls. Musk held up his hand, signaling for everyone to stop. "They're coming," Nathan whispered, his eyes scanning the hallway ahead. A group of armed men appeared at the end of the corridor, their guns raised. "You're too late," one of them sneered. "You're surrounded." Musk stepped forward, his expression fierce. "We're not going down without a fight." The guards raised their weapons, but before they could take another step, Nathan lunged forward, taking them down one by one with quick, precise moves. Musk and Evelyn followed suit, using every skill they had learned over the years to defend themselves. It was a fight for survival, and there was no turning back now. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, they reached the control room. The mastermind behind it all, a figure Musk had never expected, sat in front of the main computer console. "You," Musk spat. "I should have known." The figure turned slowly, a smirk crossing their face. "Did you really think you could stop me, Elon? You've always been one step behind." Evelyn's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" The figure chuckled, standing up from the chair. "I'm the one who's been pulling the strings all along. You've been a pawn in my game, Musk. All of you have." It was then that the figure's face was fully revealed. It was none other than Nathan Pierce. Evelyn gasped. "No, it can't be. Nathan." "No," the imposter smiled coldly. "You didn't think I was just going to help you, did you? I've been working for them this whole time. You were never meant to succeed." Musk's heart raced. This wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a battle against his closest ally, the man he had trusted. Nathan Pierce was the enemy. But there was more to this than just betrayal. "I didn't want to do this, Elon," the man who called himself Nathan said. "But you forced my hand. You've been too successful. I couldn't let you ruin everything we've worked for." Evelyn stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "You've already lost. We know the truth now, and it's over." But as she spoke, the ground shook beneath them. The entire facility trembled. A loud alarm blared, signaling the final stages of the mind control project. "It's not over yet," the imposter said. "I've already set the countdown. You can't stop it." Musk turned to Evelyn, his eyes filled with determination. "We will stop it. Together." With only seconds remaining, Musk and Evelyn rushed to the control panel, frantically trying to shut down the countdown. But as the final moments ticked away, a hidden door behind them slid open, and from the darkness, a familiar voice whispered, You can't stop what's already begun. Who is the real mastermind behind the operation? Can Musk and Evelyn stop the countdown in time? Will they survive the final showdown? Share your predictions in the comments and stay tuned for the thrilling conclusion. The mysterious voice echoed through the darkened room, sending chills down Evelyn's spine. Musk turned toward the voice, his heart racing. "Who's there?" he demanded, his voice steady despite the tension. The figure stepped into the dim light, revealing a face Musk never expected to see again. "You thought you could stop me, Elon?" The voice was familiar, haunting. It was Dr. Samuel Granger, Musk's former colleague, and the mastermind behind the entire operation. Dr. Granger's eyes gleamed with a cold, calculating intensity as he approached them. "I've been planning this for years. All your success, all your failures. It was all part of the plan." Musk's jaw clenched. "You were behind it all? The mind control project? The experiments? You turned Nathan against us?" Granger nodded. "Nathan was always too weak to see the bigger picture. But you're the one I've been waiting for. Your mind, your drive, your vision. You were never just a genius, Elon. You were a tool to help me build the future. And now, it's too late." Evelyn stepped forward, her eyes blazing with fury. "You've manipulated everyone, used them as pawns in your game. But we're not your pawns anymore. This ends tonight." Granger's lips curled into a smirk as he watched them. "You think you can stop me? The countdown has already begun. In less than 5 minutes, the entire facility will be destroyed, and my plan will be realized. There's nothing you can do to stop it." Musk looked at the timer on the wall, his heart sinking. The red numbers glowed ominously, ticking down with relentless precision. They were running out of time. But Musk wasn't one to give up, not now, not ever. He turned to Evelyn. "We need to override the system. There's a secondary control room down the hall. We can stop it if we get there in time." Evelyn nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. "Let's move." As they sprinted through the halls of the facility, the ground trembled beneath them. The countdown was relentless, each second making their chances of survival slimmer. Granger's laughter echoed behind them, a mocking reminder that time was running out. "Don't bother running," Granger shouted after them. "It's already over. There's no escape." But Musk pushed forward, his mind racing with strategies, calculations, and a deep desire to protect those he cared about. He couldn't let Granger win. Not like this. They reached the secondary control room just as the countdown hit the 2-minute mark. Evelyn rushed to the console, her fingers flying over the buttons. But the screen flickered, displaying an error message. "No, no, no," she muttered, panic creeping into her voice. Musk quickly joined her at the console. "We don't have much time. Can you fix it?" Evelyn hesitated, then nodded. "I'll need a few seconds to bypass the system, but we have to hold them off until then." Just as Musk and Evelyn were about to get to work, the door to the control room slammed open. Granger stormed in, flanked by his guards, a smug smile on his face. "You think you can beat me? I always have the upper hand." Musk stepped forward, his body tense. "Not anymore." Granger's smile faltered as Musk's eyes locked onto his. "You're done, Samuel. It's over. You won't destroy the world. Not today." The two men stood facing each other, an unspoken battle of wills between them. Granger raised his hand, signaling for his guards to approach. But Musk was faster. In a blur of motion, he lunged toward Granger, knocking him to the ground. The guards hesitated for a moment, but that was all Musk needed. He grabbed a nearby console, smashing it over the head of one of the guards, and then turned to Evelyn. "How much time?" he demanded. Evelyn's fingers were flying over the console, her eyes narrowed in concentration. 30 seconds. The timer on the wall counted down the final moments, and the tension in the air was unbearable. Musk grabbed the last guard by the collar and threw him aside. "You've lost, Granger. It's over." Granger struggled, but Musk held him down. "You'll never get away with this." Evelyn hit the final key. The countdown stopped. The room was silent for a heartbeat, and then a loud whirring sound filled the air as the facility's systems powered down. The red emergency lights flickered off, replaced by calm, steady white lights. Evelyn let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. It's done. We did it. Musk stood up slowly, his heart still racing. But he allowed himself a moment to breathe. They had stopped the project, saved countless lives, and thwarted Granger's plan. Granger struggled to his feet, his face twisted with rage. You may have won this battle, but you haven't won the war. Musk stared at him coldly. It's over. You've lost. We're taking you down, and you'll never hurt anyone again. The authorities arrived shortly after, taking Granger into custody. The weight of what they had accomplished slowly began to sink in. As Musk and Evelyn walked through the now quiet facility, the magnitude of the situation settled in. They had saved the world, but at what cost? Evelyn turned to Musk. What happens now? Musk looked out over the ruins of the facility. Now, we rebuild. We learn from this and make sure it never happens again. They had both changed over the course of this harrowing journey. They had come face to face with their own weaknesses, but they had also proven their strength. What would you do if you were faced with the same choices as Musk and Evelyn? Could you stop a plot like Granger's in time? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, sometimes, even when the odds are against you, hope and determination can change the outcome.